Hey, we bought an old farmhouse. Stay tuned and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. Hey, welcome to Farm Alarm. My name's Tracy. Today I wanted to show you about this old farmhouse that we bought right in the middle of town. I'm actually going to be tearing it down, using the land to build a shop on. You have to excuse me, I seem like I'm losing my voice here, but I wanted to show you before we started to do some work to the house. So this house was actually made back in the 1800s. I've got a few options what I want to do with it, and I'm going to talk to you about that, but I really kind of hate to just get rid of this house. You know, we're in need of a house on our homestead. Right now we're living in our schoolie. You know, we have a converted school bus that we have turned into a tiny home, which is kind of fun. But you know, eventually we're gonna get tired of that, right? So it seems like it would be a good opportunity for us to maybe tear this house down and move it out into the country. But you know, that's gonna take quite a bit of labor and money to do that. So I'm not really sure if it's worth doing. But real quick, let me show you around the house. So we're at the back of the house, and this is the this little add-on here. I'm told by the couple that owned it was originally a summer kitchen that was actually out here years ago. They had it, you know, let's say 100 years ago. It was setting out here, and they used that as their summer kitchen. And eventually, they needed to get the house a little bit bigger, so they brought it up here and added it onto the house. And the house has been added on a couple times. Originally, the house was kind of an L, so everything that you see that has a peak that's kind of going along with my finger there, this section here, which goes all the way across the front, and then it kind of comes back to right here. So everything with the roof like that was the original house, and which just consists, we'll go inside and I'll show you, which is 2 rooms, a room here and over there, and then the kitchen. Eventually they added on another bedroom, which is this window here, and a bathroom. So that's this flat part of the roof there. And then of course they moved that, you know, this you know, you might call it a lean-to, this section right here. They moved that on to the end of the house, which again, like I said, it originally set out here 100 years ago. So and they used that as a summer kitchen. And a summer kitchen meaning that, you know, back in the day they didn't have air conditioner, and so it got really hot in the house, especially when it was already 100 degrees out. And so they would just come out here and they would cook their meals and, you know, do all their canning and stuff like that out of the house. That way the house just didn't get extremely hot, and that heat would stay in the house. That way the heat would stay out in the summer kitchen, and they would be able to sleep in the house a little bit easier at night. One really cool thing that we found was this passage right here, and you lift that up and you see the, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it, not a stairwell, but you know, a little well that goes down in there. Well, that was used for an old coal burning stove that they had here, and the whole house was heated by the coal burning stove, or coal burning furnace actually, that was down inside this basement. This thing has a half basement under it, which is really neat because it's an old, as you've seen down inside that well, it was just old red brick. Well, that's what this basement was made out of as well. But they would come out here and they'd shovel that coal in, instead of having to go to the back of the house and down the stairs and all that. They could just shovel coal in here. You know, maybe the boys would be outside shoveling the coal down in that well, and the dad would be inside, you know, putting that coal inside the basement a little better. The last owner told me that he ended up coming in here and he poured this concrete pad and he built the porch on. One thing that I think is really neat for old construction houses is you'll notice that they have two entry doors, and I'm not really sure exactly the reason behind that. Maybe you let me know in the comments below, but I have noticed on a lot of really old houses that they have two entry doors in the front. Okay, so there's two things that you notice right off the bat. One is it's a lot quieter in here because, like I said, this house is right in the middle of the town. It's actually zoned in the county. The city was never able to get this house and the farmland surrounding it zoned in city limits, even though it's kind of almost right in the middle of the town. It's a chunk of little property here that never got in the city, and I think it's really neat because, you know, it's a nice little chunk of land that I'm going to be able to do something with. The second thing that you notice whenever you walk in here is the smell of mothballs. We found container after container after container of mothballs in this house because the people that lived here actually moved out about 4 years ago, so the house has just been hanging out vacant, but all their stuff was in here, so I'm sure they didn't want moths to get in here and eat it up. I don't think anything would have wanted to come in here because it smelled crazy. You know, I've owned old houses before that have really nice woodwork and nice designs up in here and stuff, but this house doesn't have that. It just has regular plain, you know, 1x is what I'd call it, but you know, 1x4s and 1x6s maybe for some baseboard, and that's fine. But I at least plan on coming in here and taking all this out, and I think that it'll serve its purpose in the next house. Okay, so right now we are in the kitchen, and one thing that I really enjoy about this kitchen is the tall cabinets. These cabinets are huge. I mean, they go all the way up to the ceiling, and they're actually real solid wood. You don't buy cabinets like this at Home Depot. You know, these were definitely custom made cabinets, and I'm sure they're not the original cabinets to the house. You know, those are I'm sure long gone. This is something that I think is really cool. It's got a Lazy Susan in it, so that will spin all the way around. Okay, so you also notice it does have an old farm sink. This farm sink is actually a 2-bay. I personally like that. A lot of people like the single bay, but I think the 2-bay is really neat. That way you can do your dishes on one side. You can put the others over there and rinse them when you're finished. So, like I said, this house was originally 3 rooms. It was that front living room that we came in, and then of course the kitchen that we were just in. And now this is the bedroom. The rooms in this house are extremely big. I mean, I would probably say probably 15 to 16 foot in you know, square actually. This is a big size room. You know, maybe they didn't have children, but if they did, you know, mom and dad and maybe the kids all bunked up in here. Maybe they really didn't have much of a living room. Maybe the kids were in the living room as well. So that's an old farmhouse for you. But this house originally did have really tall ceilings, and you can see that the last owner came in and he put in a drop ceiling. You can kind of move those out of the way and see that there's about 2 more foot up top. That's the original ceiling up there. Is whenever they did the addition on, is that they put closets in. A lot of old houses never had closets, and you could see that right here, pretty good sized closet. And of course that would be on the addition side. Now, speaking of the addition, let's get into that first addition that they built. This would be you know, when they added a bathroom. Originally they would have had, you know, an outhouse where they would have to go outside, or, you know, maybe a bedpan or something like that. So they did add on this bathroom, and I'm sure this was done somewhere in the mid 1900s, early 1900s probably. The owners that owned this house that I had bought it from actually had lived here since 1967. Thought it was pretty cool. And then this was the second bedroom that they added on. Not as big of a bedroom, probably a good, I'd say 14 foot wide, but probably only about 8 or 9 foot in depth here. But you can see that this old house is made out of rough sawn timber, and I would say that this is rough sawn oak, and I'm not sure what that what the top is sheeted with though. You'd see a lot of these style windows in old farmhouses, just wooden framed, single pane glass with a storm window on the outside. Alright, so continuing on, we are still in the little chunk of addition, getting ready to go back into the kitchen there. Sorry for the lighting, there's no electricity in here right now, but another hallway closet, and turn right around, and another hallway closet. So that was one thing that I'm sure that when they built that add-on, the wife or the mom probably said, hey, we're building this on, I need some closets, the house doesn't have any closets. So she got 3 closets. That's really cool. So we're back into the kitchen again, and one cool design about this house, it was a circular house after the addition, and so that, you know, you could easily travel around the house, the kids could probably run and play, and the air would circulate so much better in this house, and it would be a lot easier to heat and cool it. Okay, so this little bitty door right here actually goes down into the basement, and this goes out into the lean-to or the old summer kitchen. So let's go check that out. Surprisingly, the camera does pick up some light out here. It is actually really dark, but you can see this was the exterior of the house. There's the stairwell that kind of goes back up to that skinny door that I showed you. The first thing that you're looking at down here is block basement. Originally this basement was made out of, let's see, let me get over here, was made out of bricks, and I'm sure over the years the bricks started to fall in a little bit, and so you see that the house is actually built right onto that brick foundation. And so this was the bricks, this was the basement, and I'm sure the wall started to come in a little bit. So then they came in here years later, I'd say probably when they did that addition, and they started to build this up out of blocks and then concrete as well, because from here, from the top of this wall, from where the blocks are to the bricks is poured concrete, and it's kind of a stepped retaining wall all the way around where those bricks were. And the basement was only under the living room, and right here is where the original house was built, or was the outside of the house, and then that went over to right there. So everything that's over on this side of the house is the new addition, and that's why you only see blocked basement. So all of this was put in whenever they built that new addition. I wanted to show you while we're down here. Right here is a little foundation slab of where that old coal furnace was. But remember, we were outside and I was showing you the that chute that came down for the coal, and that's where that was. And so that coal, you know, they'd come down here and throw it. You know, maybe there was some sort of a bin or something they put it in. But right there you can see where the old chimney is, and there's a clean out right down there. You can see that she would, the mom would come down here and she would hang her clothes in the wintertime, and this was her clothesline as well. The wiring in this house is super old, and this is the exact reason why they moved out. The Ameren, the utility electric company, had came in one winter and told them, hey, we don't think your house is fit for living in, and you guys should probably move out. And so they did. They took it to heart, and they thought, well, I guess they're probably right. We don't want the house burning down, so they moved to a different location and left the old farmhouse behind. That's a pretty neat old door. Alright, so let's talk, what are my options? Option one is to come in with a track loader, demolish the house, haul it off, and just level off the pad. Then we have a fresh start for a new shop, right? Second would be to have somebody come in, basically have them tear the house down for free. They would take all the materials home with them for their labor, right? Okay, so third option, tear the house down, take it apart maybe in sections, just disassemble it, put it on a trailer, haul it out to my house, pour a foundation, reassemble the house. Fourth option, come in, tear the house completely apart. I keep all the materials and then rebuild a house, not necessarily the same house, out of that rough sawn timber and out of all the trim work and everything else that's in the house here right now. Or option five, burn the house down, because like I said, it is in the county. You're probably saying, why are you just gonna ruin that whole house? Well, let's back up a little bit, right? So you see over here, we've got some doors. This house had really nice doors in it. It does have really nice trim work, even though, like I said, it wasn't fancy trim work. There's stuff that we're gonna salvage out of this house. Ashley and Henry and myself. Yes, Henry helped too. He just turned 4 actually, so man, he's such a good trooper. But we took the doors off the hinges and we came in, and just some really neat things over here. There's looks like some corner shelves made out of cedar, and these good solid doors. And we'll be taking all the storm windows off. Not sure that I'll use all the storm windows, because these storm windows that are screwed onto the outside probably not going to be matching up with new windows that I'll be using, but somebody's going to want them, right? We'll take down the register ducts. There is floor registers. That kind of stuff works really good for people with wood stoves in their houses, which, you know, I'll be definitely putting wood stove back in my house. And you know, there's just, oh yeah, the cabinets are definitely coming out. I wouldn't want to buy them new. I wouldn't want to have somebody make new cabinets for me like this. This is going to be expensive. So the bad part about this is, from over here, let's see, where is it at? From over here to the corner plus this is all built one piece, and it's not screwed up, it's nailed on. So, and they're probably pretty big nails. It's gonna be a chore to get those down. I believe we'll also be taking all of the lower cabinets and putting those in whatever we build in the future, whether all this is gonna go in the new shop or this will be in the house that we plan on building out of the carport. If you guys haven't seen that video, I will leave a link to that right up there. But you know, we can put a new countertop on it, get that sink cleaned up. I think all this definitely is worth recycling and refurbishing, and take out all the casings, all these solid casings. And so there's plenty of materials that I can come in here, that my family and I can come in here and for free, on the cheap, come in here, take out all of this. And you know, so not everything's a waste, right? So I didn't buy this place just to totally get rid of it and demolish it. I would sure love to put this out on my farm, but it's not cost effective. I just don't think it's cost effective. From the way the Amish guy talked, I could buy new material for the price that he's going to charge me, for cheaper than what he would charge me to tear this house down. So anyway, let's go outside. I want to show you some of the trees. I'm actually going to have a tree logged, or a few trees logged, so let's go check those out. Alright, so behind me you see a huge walnut, right? This tree is huge. Let's look up. Big tree, right? And I had a friend of mine come in and check it out. He is a logger. So he told me that they pay 65% of what the sawmill pays, which is pretty good, because I think most loggers around here pay 50%. So he said as long as there's no bluing in this, as long as there's no metal that's been driven in this tree, it's probably going to yield me, my portion, somewhere between $900 and $1,300. Hopefully nothing breaks up. Hopefully the tree's not rotten. Let's go over here. This is the one thing that I'm a little sad about. So we see that there is a building. This is a 20 by 30 pole barn that Joe and his father-in-law built. And unfortunately, I think I'm going to tear it down because I want to build the shop. It's in the way where I want to build the shop. And I think that I really hope that I could get the building sold. You know, I was going to offer it for like 500 bucks. If somebody would come in and disassemble it and reassemble it, they can have the metal and the wood, all the material that it takes to rebuild this on their property for $500. So I think it's really sweet. So I think that's a pretty good deal. I just wanted to show you about this farmhouse. I'm going to do a future video of some things that I found inside of this old shed that are really cool. Well, we'll get to that later, but there's a really cool couple of finds in there that I think are treasures that I'll be able to restore. And tell me what you think about my old farmhouse. If you think I'm crazy for not rebuilding it, I don't think it's crazy not to rebuild it just because of the cost, and it's not efficient. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next video.